What if the entire cryptic verses of the Gospel of Thomas, every one of them, was converted into modern-day plain language that you could interact with mentally? That would be a fun project. I haven't worked on the Gospel of Thomas in a while. My name is Dan Paulson. I've got videos earlier if you want to see my earliest work on that. I've come to a new understanding, though, that would allow me to interpret these in a much deeper way than I ever did before. And I believe that along the way, we can just change each verse as we move along into something that's readable, that is no longer cryptic. Anyone who unlocks these verses will feel free. Keep looking. It's in there. When you learn what to do, it won't feel good to face. But once done, you will realize it's up to you, and you will master your life. But in fairness, before getting into that, I have to set this up because people that are into the Gospel of Thomas have got a lot of ideas about what it is, and I don't share those ideas. I see something different that I want to talk about. Now, first of all, the Gospel of Thomas was a very important work for me early on because I saw a blend in there from other places. That can be hard to see or easy to see. But there were also some errors in there that I saw that made me realize this is, long ago, this is being copied by a scribe from one scroll to another. Something got missed, but it got added in later. And this is what I mean, or what I'm talking about on that one. As you read through here, if you ever notice, I'm sure if you've come through here, you read number 6 where it says, his disciples questioned him and said to him, do you want us to fast? How shall we pray? Shall we give alms? What diet shall we observe? And the next line said, Jesus says, do not tell lies and do not do what you hate, for all things are plain in the sight of heaven. He didn't answer the question. He answers a question, but it didn't answer the question. He didn't say anything about fasting, praying, giving alms, or diet. You jump down here to 14, and what do we have? If you fast, you will give rise to sin for yourselves, and if you pray, you will be condemned, and if you give alms, you will do harm to your spirits. When you go into any land and walk about in the districts, if they receive you, eat what they will set before you and heal the sick among them. For what goes into your mouth will not defile you, but that which issues from your mouth, it is that which will defile you. So you can see right here that there was a break. Somebody's probably copying along here, then misses the line, starts copying down to here, it gets caught and it gets added in. It's like it's all being done by hand. You're not going to go back and erase something or start over. So it's added in here. So you see that that's there. But at once what that tells me is, oh yeah, there could be stuff missing from here, that you can see errors in the material. And then there's another one here that this one is pretty glaring. Let's take a look at this one. Okay, as we get up to 102 here, it says, Jesus said, woe to the Pharisees, for they are like a dog sleeping in the manger of oxen, for neither does he eat, nor does he let the oxen eat. Do we recognize that from, you see that? Aesop's Fables. This would have been about 500 years prior to that. 72. A dog was lying in a manger on the hay which had been put there for the cattle, and when they came and tried to eat, he growled and snapped at them, and wouldn't let them get at their food. What a selfish beast, said one of them to his companions. He can't eat himself, and yet he won't let those who can eat. Something like that. It wraps up like that. Jesus said, woe to the Pharisees, for they are like a dog sleeping in the manger of oxen, for neither does he eat, nor does he let the oxen eat. Okay, do we see those things in here? There's going to be more stuff that are not that glaring. But the Gospel of Thomas is a wonderful collection for me. And it's actually easy to interpret, but I'm going to interpret it as if I was reading the Tao Te Ching from Lao Tzu, trying to interpret that verse, or the Dhammapada, a collection of verses from the Buddha that are these cryptic verses that are how to change your life. I'm going to read these exactly the same way, except that they're in a different genre. Now, when I do that, what happens is these verses are no longer supernatural. They become interactive, and all of the parts of the story are part of us. Jesus Christ, all of that is an awareness that we are coming back, that we're on a path, we're on a self-healing path. This is going to lead to enlightenment if you follow it. Okay, and the way that they're going to be read, all of them are going to be read conceptually. And what that means, they play out in the psyche. Let me make an example up right here. This is an easier way to say it. I'm going to make up a verse of my own and we'll talk through it. I've got something like, an anchored ship can only sail around its anchor. There you go. And by itself, if people didn't interpret it, they would go, well, yeah, duh. That's what anchors are for, so it doesn't float off. They get that out of it. Now, if somebody gets something out of there that they realize it's in a body of work, that it's metaphoric, you're supposed to interpret it, they go, oh, I know. The ship represents me, and I'm hanging on to my dead-end job, relationship, something like that. And as long as I'm not moving ahead in life, as long as I'm hanging on to my failures. Yeah, perfect sense. Okay, it makes sense to me. It's about the physical world. Somebody else might say, no, that's not what it means. I was born in an orphanage. I had no family. I was beaten. I was abused. I was thrown out. I was homeless. Not until I found a safe port to hang on to did I stop floating off into the oblivion of sadness in life. And you would go, oh, that makes sense too. They both make sense. But they make sense to the person looking outward. It's an outward looking thing. At the deepest level, it's up here. What it means is that molestation, that rape, the thievery, whatever it is, the things that I have inside of me that I've done, that I'm holding on to, that I have shame, pain, hurt, that's causing me life turmoil. As long as I'm hanging on to that, I keep experiencing it over and over again. And at that point, suddenly you know, oh, it's not a good thing. You need to let go of it. There's no doubt on interpreting anymore. In this case, it might not be a bad thing. Maybe you're holding on to joy, hanging on to the smell of, the memory of the smell of grandma's apple pie in the kitchen or something like that. And you continue to, something in life evokes those memories. That's happening as well. You're being triggered. However, it's a good memory. When the bad memories are there, we get triggered, then the results are bad. So we have to understand that that's going on in the background. Okay, there's another final variant. If you were to make it like into a really religious genre, you could say something like, casting off will allow you to sail to God. And people would go, wow, yeah, you know what? Let go. Commit. Become a Christian. Whatever it takes to love God, and you will sail to God. You will go to him. And there you go. You've created a carrying case for this, where the person that knows it's about the inner self, God is the higher self, and that what we're hanging on to is the hurt and pain. And in order to heal that, we have to begin to use the higher self, which is disconnected. If we practice this part of our awareness is not beholding to the emotional feeling, the consciousness is. So what we do is we start working together in our own minds to look at the things we don't want to look at, to begin to self-heal. And that is where the true interpretation lies. That's exactly how I'm going to treat this right here. It's going to the psyche. All right, there's a handful of versions available that you can download. I've chosen this one specifically because of the easy reading nature of it. I only want to cover this a little bit because it's a debate that I've run into before with people that are Gnostic practitioners that have scolded me on utilizing variations that they think are not the right thing to use. And as a seeker, you're not listening to somebody tell you what to limit yourself to. You just, get out. But the translations are different, and some of them read more comfortable to me and some of them don't. They all mean the same thing. If I read Jesus said in one translation and Yeshua said, I know that those are the same things, but somehow in my head, just from familiarity, Jesus is easier. So I picked one that we don't have to, hopefully it'll be something that sounds familiar to us. And you know what? It's all there. The parts are there. Anytime there's any confusion, we'll make cross comparisons. And me, if I cannot interpret something because I can't unwrap it, I will say, I can't interpret this. I can't unwrap it. Let's leave it. Okay. But with that having been said, let's get into it. It begins. These are the secret sayings which the living Jesus spoke, and which Didymus Judas Thomas wrote down. This is an announcement. If you can imagine that we are back there in time and we don't read, we don't write, and there are no books. We're hearing these things verbally. Somebody walks up and tells you something. That's the book cover. You don't just start right off and launch off. Where did it come from? What are you telling me? Where does it appear? Look at this one from Proverbs. What do we have here? And this starts off the Proverbs of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel. So instead of just walking up to somebody and starting off with, for learning about wisdom and instruction, they would say, who is that? Where does it come from? And it seemed to be very important in Abrahamic culture to do that, but only in this type of material where there's groups of like proverbs or verses or things like that. Then it provides an authority. Here is where this comes from. This is the source. And in this case, it says from Jesus, and then it's got the twin twice, which is in there. And so I can imagine for people on the street that are hearing this, it would be like, it came from Jesus. Come on, he's gone, or whatever that story is. Oh, it came from his twin. I see. So it is a certifiable source then. And yeah, then you've simply just set it up as where it comes from. Here's, the book cover for a group of teachings. Yeah, it just certifies their source. All right, let's get into the nitty gritty. We got a lot of work to do. And he said, whoever finds the interpretation of these sayings will not experience death. Okay, every one of these are going to be mysterious, cryptic verses. We have to unwrap all of them. Death does not mean physical death. In this case, everything is going to play out in the psyche. So what does that mean? What is death? What is life? Death is actually when you live life not realizing that your life experience is based on everything that you've observed and judged, that you're living through that experience, your life experience, the memories and the bundles of it. You're dead. You're sitting there wondering, why is life this way? Why do things keep coming at me this way and I have to deal with them this way? When a person finds a way to, what enlightenment is actually shedding all of that and realizing that you're living through your observed experiences and the memories and the perceptions of them. So life is a detached life experience where you're no longer living because, oh, I hate them, and oh, because they're ugly, and because they do this and they do that. You're realizing, boy, there's something deeper going on, and I'm just a product of that. When you're a product of that, that's death. When you cease to be a product of that and you are stepped back from it and no longer caught up in it, that is life. So, in this case, let's reword this. All right, as succinct as possible, whoever finds the interpretation of these sayings, they are secret sayings. So, whoever unlocks these verses will feel free. And I didn't put spiritually free there because the way that we feel is based in the conflict in our minds. It's a mental experience. So, and he said, whoever finds the interpretation of these sayings will not experience death. To me would be whomever unlocks these verses will feel free. Okay, on to number 2. Jesus said, let him who seeks continue seeking until he finds. When he finds, he will become troubled. When he becomes troubled, he will be astonished, and he will rule over the all. First of all, let's make sure that means any person, that's just following suit of what is common in a patriarchal society. That means anybody. You could change this to let whoever seeks continue seeking until they find. When they find, they will become troubled. When they become troubled, they will become astonished, and they will rule over the all. It could be that way just as easily. It won't lose any of what it is there. It is for whoever goes on the inner journey. And, okay, you have to look. You got to find. You have to seek it. I can tell you that you have to dig at this, and you will find it. It is there. And when you find it, you'll become troubled. Yeah, the first thing you realize is, oh, you know what? Instead of turning over this stuff, which doesn't work anyway, I have to go face it. So I have to face all of the pain and the shame of my past. And then when I go do that, when I become troubled, when I go do that stuff, I'll become astonished because it's like, oh my gosh, this is what I need to do. And I will rule over the all. This is not over all the people. That's all of my life. I will gain control of my life. So let's reword this. Keep looking. It's in there. When you learn what to do, it won't feel good. That's like a calling and a denial, except you're going through it anyway. When he becomes troubled, he will become astonished, and he will rule over the all. Keep looking, it's in there. When you learn what to do, it won't feel good to face, but once done, you will be astonished. You will realize it's amazing. Yeah, it's like, oh, this is what I have to do. You'll be astonished. You will be. You'll realize it's what? Hard to keep it too short. And you'll rule over the all. You will master your life. That's what you rule over. Your life, not people. Okay. Let him who seeks continue seeking until he finds. When he finds, he will become troubled. When he becomes troubled, he will become astonished, and he will rule over the all. Keep looking. It's in there. When you learn what to do, it won't feel good to face. But once done, you realize it's up to you, and you will master your life. Okay, number 3. Jesus said, if those who lead you say to you, see, the kingdom is in the sky, then the birds of the sky will precede you. If they say to you, it is in the sea, then the fish will precede you. Rather, the kingdom is inside of you, and it is outside of you. When you come to know yourselves, then you will become known, and you will realize that it is you who are the sons of the living Father. But if you do not, or if you will not know yourselves, you dwell in poverty, and it is you who are that poverty. Oh, this is a fun one. Okay, first thing is I'm going to cross-reference. In the Tao, the very first verse is, the Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. And it goes on, but as we work through the interpretation, what that ultimately means is, even though the Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao, the Tao that is experienced is the eternal one. That means it's a mental process. We infer that. We're a product of that thinking, of our experiences, and the way we've stored those experiences with memory and emotion. Buddha starts off, all that we are is the result of what we have thought. It is founded on our thoughts. It's made up of our thoughts. We don't even have to interpret that one. He's telling us we're a product of our mental experiences and the way we hold them. If we go and look at this one again, what we can see right off the bat is, if those who lead you, these are your leaders, the people who are teaching you about reality. They tell you the kingdom is in the sky. It's out there in heaven someplace. Then the birds will get there before you do. If they say it's in the sea, and I'm sure back then there were probably people still, I don't know, looking to the sea, then the fish will precede you. Basically, anywhere you look out there, it's not there. Rather, the kingdom is inside of you and it is outside of you. So, because it's inside and outside, that should sound like as within, so without. The kingdom is inside of you and it's outside of you. The life experiences that we have is based on what that bundle of mental experience is. So what this is saying right here is that it's a mental experience. It's not outward, it's inward. So it's therefore, we infer it's mental. It's a mental experience. It is inside of us, and the life experiences as a result of it. And when we understand what we are products of, our experiences and how we hold them, then we will know why our life is the way it is, and we will realize that it is ourselves who are the sons of the living Father. The living Father. The living Father. This is in a hierarchy. This is our higher being. We are sons of that, and we can learn that and grow and become something different. But if we don't know ourselves, if we don't learn that, we dwell in poverty, which is we just live life unaware. And it is you who are that poverty. We're living in unawareness of the fact that we are just going with the flow, bouncing off of whatever happens in our life, going, why this again? Instead of stepping back and going, why do I fit? What do I change about me that now that kingdom inside of me that is outside of me changes? It improves. That's a flow in the Tao. That's a changing the flow in life, the graces of God. All right, let's reword that one. Okay, first we have, if those who lead you say to you, see, the kingdom is in the sky, This is an admonishment to turn away from your leaders that are teaching you the supernatural, that are teaching you about all the things you cannot see or interact with. How do we word that? It's only a personal, mental journey. Okay, that covers everything from if those who lead you say to you, the kingdom is in the sky, the birds will precede you. If they say to you, it's in the sea, the fish will precede you. Rather, the kingdom is inside of you and it is outside. Okay, so it's only a personal mental journey which affects quality of life. All right. And when you come to know yourselves, that's only when you face and embrace what you carry. This is knowing yourself. How do you know yourself? What is it knowing yourself? All those things that you don't want to face, you got to face them. All those things you don't want to face, you got to face them. That's how you know yourself. Okay, when you come to know yourselves, when you face that things, then you will become known. Then when you embrace what you carry, boy, I don't know how to word this one. You will realize, what is the best way to do this? When you come to know yourselves, you will become known, and you will realize that it is you who are the sons of the living Father. I think I'm trying to put too much into it. When you face and embrace what you carry, you will realize the higher self, or you will realize yeah, let me come back to that one. But if you do not know yourself, you dwell in poverty, and it is you who are that poverty, okay? If you do not turn inward. There we go. That's what this one is. When you face and embrace what you carry, turning inward to the memories. Yeah, okay, try that. When you face and embrace what you carry, turning to the memories, you will realize the higher self is what is used to help face and heal them. If you do not turn inward, life sucks. And it's on you, whether you know it or not. That's a pretty harsh way to put it. I should reword that. But if you do not know yourselves, But if you do not face your memories, you will continue to live through them. There, that's better. Yeah, that's it. Unaware. If you don't become aware, you will live unaware. All right. Jesus said, the man old in days will not hesitate to ask a small child 7 days old about the place of life, and he will live. For many who are first will become last, and they will become one and the same. First things first. What's a child 7 days old? What I'm going to do is go all the way back to Genesis. The 7 appears there. Notice how 7s are all the time showing up, 7s and 3s in Abrahamic material. If we go through Genesis 1 right here, there's a creation story. And down here on day 7, What we have is, thus the heavens and the earth were finished in all their multitude. On the seventh day God finished the work that he had done, and he rested on the seventh day from all the work that he had done. So God blessed the seventh day and hallowed it, because on it God rested from all the work that he had done in creation. That whole kludge-sounding thing right there, it's not smooth compared to other things. It's meant to be that way. It's meant to get our attention. There's a 7 said 3 times. 7 and 3 are being developed right here at the end of this creation story. Now, if we were to put the 2 creation stories side by side, because there are 2 separate ones, both of them end at the same time, right before first sin and its punishment. So, here we are. This is what 7 means. Therefore, the man leaves his father and his mother and clings to his wife. That means we turn from our outer life experience to our inner. The wife is the inner self. We are developing, and they become one flesh. We are now self-aware. And the man and his wife were both naked and were not ashamed. At this point in time, we were not covered with anything. We had not experienced life yet. We were like happy kids that everything was ahead of us. Nothing could be wrong. And then life came along, and we didn't stay this way. But on day 7, this is it. Naked, unashamed, self-aware. Okay, knowing day 7 and what that represents, then let's go back and read this again. The man old in days will not hesitate to ask a small child 7 days old about the place of life, and he will live. We are the old man later on in life. We want to know what to do to live free, to be free. The child 7 days old represents any of us at that time in life before first sin, before we begin to experience life. That's what we want to get back to. For many who are first will become last. We want to get back to the beginning, and they will become one and the same. The old man and the small child will become one and the same. We have become separated from ourselves in life. Now we have parts that act out of us we don't have control over. Once we resolve all of the issues, the things that we've collected along the way that act out and we've resolved them, then it is like we're one and the same. That our inner being is... It doesn't do things that we regret anymore. We don't have to sit there and wonder, why did I do that? Why do I keep doing that? I'm sorry. We've got that resolved. Okay, so how do we reword that? I jumped ahead to save time. What I've got down here is return. We want to return to the mental state that we experienced prior to our judging our life experiences. As we had our individual life experiences, we judged them, and we became products of the memories and the emotional state of those experiences. And typically that's a lot of hurt stuff that we don't know how to resolve. We want to seek a unity between our inner self and our conscious experience when we're not paying attention. You see that for many who are first will become last. The man and the child will ask, and both of them will become one and the same. This is showing like a return to the beginning, going back around to the start. Okay, then we jump on to the next one. Jesus said, recognize what is in your sight, and that which is hidden from you will become plain to you. For there is nothing hidden which will not become manifest. And that is to self-observe. As we're on the path and we're trying to figure out what's wrong and we're acting out, we need to stop and begin to examine what we just blew up over. And we have to do it objectively with our egos out of the way. What do I keep blowing up? What is this? What is the trigger point? What is it about me and my past that hooks me into this so much that I can't get out of it? And when you begin to recognize I'm continually triggering over a certain thing, then you can zero in on where that comes from. What comes out of us is what is from within us. Self-observe. What emerges from out of you comes from within you. As within, so without. From your memories and the perceptions of them. Okay. Then we go on. His disciples questioned him and said to him, do you want us to fast? How shall we pray? Shall we give alms? What diet shall we observe? And you see, I've already gone down here and I've actually cut 14 completely out of there and put it up here just because I'm going to pretend as though I caught a scribal error and that I'm making a correction in it because it just flows this way. Okay, let's go on and see what his answers are, because that's what we have to interpret, his answers, not what the disciples' questions are. He said to them, if you fast, you will give rise to sin for yourselves, and if you pray, you will be condemned, and if you give alms, you will do harm to your spirits. When you go into any land and walk about in the districts, if they receive you, eat what they will set before you, and heal the sick among them. For what goes into your mouth will not defile you, but that which issues from your mouth, it is that which will defile you. Okay, that last part should actually sound a bit like the previous one. Self-observe, what emerges from us comes from within us, right? For what goes into your mouth will not defile you, but that which issues from your mouth, it's that which defiles you. Yeah, what we eat doesn't make us bad. But when we express ourselves, we demonstrate what we have inside of us. Okay, what we have to do then is identify what the fast, sin, and pray. All of these are analogous terms. Again, with all of my work, they're all analogs. They have to become something in the psyche that means something different. Before I interpret that, there's a couple of things going on here. There's something layered in here. One of them is this is showing a transition from the physical world to the mental world. This appears in Jesus' teachings in other places too. But what you'll see here is there's a question about physical life. How do we do these things in life? And when Jesus answers, it's cryptic. It's not exactly right on. You're like, what is he kind of talking about? He didn't really answer the question. Or as he does start answering the question and mentioning them, the answers are they don't seem like something that you could do in real life. If you were to read in the Bible, there's one where, I'm going to have to paraphrase this, pardon me, but there's one where he's being asked, how come you don't wash your hands before you eat like the disciples of John and the Pharisees do? And he goes on to answer something about the bridal chamber, wineskins, jackets. And you're like, well, that's kind of a strange thing there. Those clues right there, they're asking something in the physical world, and the answer is transitioning into analog form into something into the mental world or the spiritual world. That's what's happening. And we're seeing that right here too. So we're seeing that transition happening. They're asking him something about the physical world, and he's telling them in some cases how you do that. And in the end, it's like, well, where did that last piece get tacked onto? There's the cryptic stuff. Let's take a look at it again. All right, I've jumped ahead on this and worked on it because it took me a long time. I worked on it yesterday a little bit and it was not okay. Worked on it a little bit more today. And these things are going to keep growing because we're doing the best we can with the analogs that they're using at their time. At any rate, okay. What is fast? Mentally quiet. That's shutting down your mind and not absorbing the world, stepping back and just going, whew, like meditation. Yeah, mentally quiet. Sin, painful and negative judgments we maintain in memory. First sin is the first judgment. Sin is any time you have life experiences and you judge it and you begin living life maintaining a judgment inside of you. It's from life experiences. I talk about bad stuff, but it's anything. Maybe all those bad things didn't happen. Maybe you weren't raped and molested and all that stuff, but you just don't feel good. There's other reasons that are, I talk about it in pretty severe terms, but this applies across the board. If you don't feel good, why? When we're praying, what that signifies what we're doing there is we're asking for good graces or a better quality of life. We would recognize that as something like a recent thing that says visualization, which is effective. But what happens if you visualize and you're leaving things in place that there's going to be, we'll get back to it. Praying is wanting something different than what you have. You want better life. We want improvement. Condemned is being cursed, caught in cycles. Alms, trading for good graces or a better quality of life. Remember, if you come to the altar to leave your gift, that's alms right there. And you remember you have aught against your brother, go resolve that first, then come back and give your gift, alms. Asking for a better quality of life, and then it'll happen. Spirit is the bundle of your inner being, your memories and the perceptions of them, all of them. So as we read this up here, his disciples questioned him and said to him, do you want us to fast? How shall we pray? Shall we give alms? What diet shall we observe? And this just answers the first part. Jesus said to them, if you fast, you will give rise to sin for yourselves. What? And if you pray, you will be condemned. And if you give alms, you will do harm to your spirits. Okay, by the time I've unwrapped that down here, using these definitions, it would say something like, in mental quietude, your memories can emerge. And if you seek a better life, it will leave you feeling in desire and angst, thus making it worse. Time goes by, and what we fester over grows as we fester over it. Desiring without healing makes you suffer even greater. Wanting more, we get worse by desiring things and leaving stuff in place. This right here, this should tell you that DVD, The Secret, when you're told that stuff is just called so what, this right here is telling you, no, that is the what. If you do that, you take care of the things that are problems instead of ignoring them, then life is better. You do just the opposite here. So let's look at it again in mental quietude. See, when we're living life and we have all these things frazzled, we're so busy and we put so much time into it, we don't stop and take time to look at it. We don't look at ourselves. We can't. We don't have time, and we don't look at things. So if we get into a state of mental quietude, those things are going to emerge. We're going to be able to look at them. And if you seek a better life, it'll leave you feeling in desire and angst if you don't resolve that stuff. You're looking for life, you want something better. Meanwhile, these things are in place. So you might get a little bit of something and think, oh, it's working. Then the failure kicks right back in because these things are left in place, thus making it worse. The things that we are trying to ignore and fight against just grow bigger as time goes on. Time goes by, and what we fester over grows as we fester over it. Yeah, it does. It gets worse and worse and worse in our minds as time goes by if we leave it there and don't deal with it. But we are afraid of it. Whenever we see it, we give it energy again. God, I hate it more and more. That's what's giving it its life right there. Desiring without healing makes you suffer even greater. And then he's going to go, when you walk into the land and walk about in the district. So he's talking to them about the physical world. When you're walking among the people, if they let you in, eat whatever they set before you. So he's telling them, don't worry about Jewish laws right here, and heal the sick among them. The sick are who? The sick are also the people who have sinned. Sick is sin. If I have a lot of sin, then I am sick. Healing them means teaching them, if they will learn. But the real lesson is this: for what goes into your mouth will not defile you. That what you eat is not going to make you what you are. If you're eating shellfish, don't worry, you're not evil. It's what comes out of you. It is that which will defile you. What is that? The fruits from our garden. This is going to be very deep ways of saying things like that. So let me go ahead and rephrase this one. All right, again, I jumped ahead here to speed things up a little bit. I should have worked through these ahead of time. No, actually, it's fun doing it here during the video. Then you can kind of see what I'm doing. So when you go into any land and walk about in the districts, if they receive you, eat what they will set before you and heal the sick among them. For what goes into your mouth will not defile you, but that which issues from your mouth, that is that which defiles you. Okay, we're really looking for the template parts. There's going to be a lot of complexity on the outside as the carrier shell that can just be stripped off as superfluous. This is I've added some stuff in here. Your diet isn't crucial. Go ahead and eat bacon. I didn't have to put go ahead and eat bacon. I can just say your diet isn't crucial. What we need to do is observe what emerges from us. Unresolved, unaware, triggering is what hurts us, not our diet. Jesus said, do not tell lies and do not do what you hate, for all things are plain in the sight of heaven. For nothing hidden will not become manifest, and nothing covered will remain without being uncovered. This is as within, so without. Cause and effect, karma, measure you meet unto others, coming back at you. Strong man is returning. We know this is happening. Whatever we have inside of us, when people trigger and something comes out, it's coming from a source. That's what it's teaching us here. Cause and effect. What comes out of us comes from a seed. If it's a nasty plant, well, it's a nasty seed. Jesus said, blessed is the lion which becomes man when consumed by man, and cursed is the man whom the lion consumes, and the lion becomes man. Okay, the lion represents sin, life, the judgments, naming, memory and emotion of it, the perceptions. All those things, the lion, those are the things that suddenly shifted as the analog of the bad stuff we're carrying. That's it. Man is us. Blessed is who wins. Consumed is memory. What have we consumed? What have I learned? I've eaten that and now it is a part of me. Cursed, doomed to repeat. So I've got this rephrased as, the judged life experiences man takes on win out and control our life. We are cursed when those experiences consume us and come to fruition. Our inner self becomes our outer self. The other hour. Okay. All right. Makes sense? Fun? We're on board? Let's go with this one. And he said, the man is like a wise fisherman who cast his net into the sea and drew it up from the sea full of small fish. Okay, reading it, I am the man. You are the man. Wise fisherman? That's the person who's going to wake up, the rare person who cast his net. That's us, throwing our intention of life into the sea. That's into our life experience, and drew it up from the sea full of small fish. Now we have all these little things that we've gathered up in life. Among them, the wise fisherman found a fine, large fish. Yeah, somewhere in there is our core self. In that net, we threw all the small fish back into the sea and chose the large fish without difficulty. We need to get rid of all of the things that we've picked up along the way and get rid of them. There's one big fish we need. There's one life experience we need. How would we rephrase this one? Seek happiness, or seek the kingdom of heaven within, or nirvana, phrase it your way. Yeah, get rid of all the little things we cling to that we picked up along the way. And seek happiness. You know why you find happiness? If you find happiness, you don't stop and go, what is wrong? You don't. You're in the moment. All right. Jesus said, now the sower went out, took a handful of seeds and scattered them. Some fell on the road, and the birds came and gathered them up. Others fell on the rock and did not take root in the soil, and did not produce ears. And others fell on thorns. They choked the seeds, and worms ate them. And others fell on the good soil, and it produced good fruit, and bore 60 per measure, and 120 per measure. Okay, 60 per measure and 120 per measure. 60 is, that's part of a numbering system. I'll just drop that. Those are good things. Those are good things. All right. Jesus said, now the sower went out. That is me. I take a handful of seeds. What did we just have up here? The wise fisherman, net. This is going to be a similar teaching. Some stuff just went. So some experiences along the way just didn't have any impact. Some experiences fell on a rock and didn't take root in the soil and did not produce ears. So some of the things we have didn't even affect us at all. And others fell on thorns. They choked the seeds and worms ate them. And others fell on thorns. They didn't make it anyway. And others fell on the good soil and it produced good fruit. So we need to create good plants in the garden. How's that? Life experiences gives us many things from our garden. Yeah. Okay, how's that? Life experiences give us many things from our garden. Seek to weed it and have only plants you wish. As within, so without is always going to be there. Whatever is in our mind and our memories creates our life experiences. That's what we're always going after. Jesus said, I have cast fire upon the world, and see, I am guarding it until it blazes. Jesus is the part of us that is the awareness, the aware part of us that says, I've had enough. I'm going to learn this stuff, go inside of my head and manage this. I'm going to manage these memories and manage my life. That is Jesus. Jesus has cast fire upon the world. It's getting ready. See, I'm guarding it until it blazes. Well, that's kind of like a flood coming up, huh? The whole world has to be destroyed. You can burn it out or drown it out. It needs to be drowned out. The world needs to be reborn. That's not right. That's not very mentally interactive, is it? That's still analogous. Maybe just leave it right there. Here, I've got it like this now. Life experiences give us many things from our garden. Seek to weed it and have only plants you wish. And then I need to be reborn to start over. This means to resolve my hurt memories until I feel good. That's what a rebirth is. I was born to begin with, and then something went wrong along the way because I didn't know that judging life is a normal thing, but that would come to hurt me later. And I'm the person, one of the kinds of people who says, wow, I can get out of this. I see a way out. So that's us there. Okay. Jesus said this heaven will pass away and the one above it will pass away. The dead are not alive and the living will not die. In the days when you consumed what is dead, you made it what is alive. And when you come to dwell in the light, what will you do? On the day when you were one, you became two. But when you become two, what will you do? All right, sounds like our line one above a little bit. Let's define these terms. Dead means unaware of cause and effect and unwilling to interact with self. This is us during life when we don't realize we're just judging life and going along and becoming products of those judgments and memories. Alive is when you are aware of the cause and effect and you turn inward to self-heal. You know what to do. You know that you are a product of your experiences instead of you are living because the way you feel because the world is the way it is. You realize it's the other way around. Consumed means I've judged, named, learned with emotion, memorized. It's in memory. Dwell in the light. Learn what to do. 1 and 2 reflects the combined or disconnected self. When we're little, we don't question what we did. When we're older, sometimes we act and we feel in ways we don't want to. That separation has happened. So I've reworded this way. The unaware are not aware, and the aware can't unsee it. When we lived unaware and judged life, we ourselves brought that to life by judging and storing it in the brain. Once we know that, then what should we do? We were combined as one. That's like naked, unashamed, prior to first sin. That was when we were one. Then we lived life and became two. Now my memories of hurt are not in unison with my conscious wishes. I have become two. Now what will I do? Okay, then it goes on to, the disciples said to Jesus, we know that you will depart from us. Who is to be our leader? Jesus said to them, wherever you are to go to James the righteous, for whose sake heaven and earth came into being. Heaven and earth, we want that combination. That's who we are to begin with. Righteous is what? Righteousness is what we seek, disconnected from what we have stored in memory. Naked, unashamed. Analog farm in Genesis. If you follow my work, I'll just say to save time that righteousness means the same thing as that same point as 7 or 3 that I talked about earlier in the video. Righteousness, as you get in through Genesis and you get down to Sodom, you'll see that righteousness is said 7 times in a questioning between Abraham and God that creates righteousness as an analog. And then later on, righteousness continues to be that same point. So this purity, this self is what we seek, disconnected from what we have stored in memory, naked, unashamed. Like naked, unashamed. Really just where all the things that you hide away, they're not hidden away anymore. They don't hurt you anymore. Jesus said to his disciples, compare me to someone and tell me what I am like. These stories are big. We're looking for something simple in here. Simon Peter said to him, you are like a righteous angel. Okay, we want righteousness. Matthew said to him, you are like a wise philosopher. Philosophy. We're looking for that truth, and we're going to be using philosophy as we're interpreting these verses. That's what we're doing right now. This is philosophy. It's not religion. Thomas said to him, my master is wholly incapable of saying whom you are like. Jesus said, I am not your master, because you have drunk, you have become intoxicated from the bubbling spring which I have measured out. And he took him and withdrew him and told him 3 things. 3, 7, 3, righteous. There's a pure point. Jesus took him and told him something pure. When Thomas returned to his companions, they asked him, what did Jesus say to you? And Thomas said to them, if I tell you one of the things which he told me, you will pick up stones and throw them at me. A fire will come out of the stones and burn you up. So this is what I've distilled that down to. Righteousness, purity, found through philosophy. Keep it secret. Thomas here is the one sharing these verses also, who it came from, Didymus, Judas, Thomas, the twin. So Thomas is getting his training right here. Thomas here is the one sharing these verses, so he's getting his secret training from Jesus. 3 coincides with righteous. Teaching to the believers will make them angry at you. Of the believers of the religion, the carriers of the outer shell. Teaching this to them will make them angry at you. But in the end, the truth will eat them up, whether they know that or not. Okay, we move on to 15. Jesus said, when you see the one who was not born of woman, prostrate yourselves on your faces and worship him. That one is your father. Let's define these. Woman is the subconscious, the inner self, the bundle of memories. Born of means a stored memory. Prostrate and worship, follow, father, higher self. So let's reword this to this. When you see the facet of your mind which is not a product of stored memories, go there. Let's talk about this one for a second, because it's going to be emergent right away as a 5-part hierarchy, mental hierarchy. What there is the higher self. This is the part of us where we can be detached from our emotions. If you wake up at 3 in the morning, 3, 4 in the morning, haunted by something, you'll notice this mental dialogue going on where you're frazzled about something, and there's another part of you that steps in from time to time, depending how severe it is. There's a part of you that should step in from time to time that doesn't feel everything, that can step back and go, you know what? There's nothing you can do now. You need to sleep. This is a part of us that is detached from what is going on. We can get there. We can stand outside ourselves. We can live life without experiencing that pain and the hurt. That's the higher self. The conscious is the second part. The conscious is what we live through. It determines life. It judges life. It creates the subconscious by saying, I like this, I don't like that. My experience was good or bad, and that's how I'm going to remember it. The woman is now being subservient to the male. Why? Because the subconscious is being developed by our perceptions. The conscious is creating our inner self. So there's 3 parts right there. Okay, we have the higher self, the consciousness, and then when the consciousness isn't creating life, it can be living through life. It could be feeling bad and having these things re-experiencing again. So the stuff that it put away, they're like programs that are playing out again. Okay, so do we see those 4 parts right there? The higher awareness. This is where we want to get to. This is the 7, the 3, the righteous, all of this higher awareness place, the Father. That's the one we want to go to. This place right here is where we disconnect from our emotions and begin to learn to deal with things. The consciousness has to be in charge of that, though. The conscious is the decision maker, and that's why we don't make it, because the consciousness makes decisions through fear and shame. So that's why we don't succeed. You have to get over the fear and the shame in order to succeed. Bingo, you lost most of the world. Most of the population on the planet. Okay, higher self, conscious, subconscious, or soul, memory, our memories, our bundle of memories. Then 4, all of the characteristics that are in there, the stuff that acts out, or this, it could be good or it could be bad. But when something acts out, it's not the subconscious acting out. It's a memory that has been put away by the conscious that is acting out. Then the 5th thing, we have a flow in life. There's a collective that we live in, a field, a way, a graces of God. Our life experience, where we are and how we experience life on a day-to-day basis now, is contingent on the quality of this, whether we're, and it doesn't matter whether it's in your conscious thinking or not. Stored away, not in the background, it's working. It's doing its thing. We have to go to that level in order to understand why things keep happening. Okay, let's jump right back into it then. The next one is, Jesus said, men think perhaps that it is peace that I have come to cast upon the world. They do not know that it is dissension which I have come to cast upon the earth, fire, sword, and war. For there will be 5 in a house. 3 will be against 2, and 2 against 3. The father against the son, and the son against the father, and they will stand solitary. Okay, this should make sense after what I just talked about, or at least a little bit more. Men think perhaps that it is peace that I have come to cast upon the world. Now that is outward looking. People who believe this material think that Jesus has come to bring peace. Now he's going to turn it to a mental process. They do not know that it is dissension which I have come to cast upon the earth, fire, sword, and war. We have to go battle our earlier self. This is where if we were on, a monomyth adventure, we have to cross a threshold and go defeat something. That's where we are right here. We were going to use fire, sword, and war in order to, there was also flood. He didn't say that, but there was flood as well. Well, there was only, the flood is promised not to happen again. But there's all kinds of ways to destroy yourself, and that's what it really amounts to. We're not actually destroying anything. We're going after the memories This thing that hurts me really bad, I have to figure out how to not make it hurt me anymore. That's the only way it will stop acting out. It's acting out on the energy terms and the emotional terms that I have given it, and the only way I can change the way it acts out is to give it a different emotion. Period. There will be 5 in a house, 3 against 2 and 2 against 3. There we are. We have our inner conflict. So in this case, the Father against the Son, we've got our conscious there, our Father against the Son, who is offspring of that's what we put away. We are now in conflict with ourselves, and they will stand solitary. That one's a weird one because solitary would normally mean you're standing together, but I think in this case it means you're not combined. Since you're not 5 as one working in concert, then you're standing kind of separated internally. Okay, so what would this redefine as? Well, I would say in its simplest form that it would be just something like this. This isn't about saving the planet, but I have come to destroy the inner world of any follower. We are existing with inner conflict, and it is that conflict this is about destroying my world, my earth, my experience. Jesus said, I shall give you what no eye has seen and what no ear has heard and what no hand has touched and what has never occurred to the human mind. What is this? I'm going to say what he's giving them is something. You take it out of the religion and you interpret it. What do you really have here? Self-psychology guiding us to let go of our hurt experiences using philosophy to interpret the secret verses and using them in the human psyche. Self-psychology guiding us to let go of our hurt experiences using philosophy to interpret the secret verses and applying them in our own psyche. Okay, and then it goes on. I'll just jump ahead real quick. The disciple said to us, tell us how our end will be. Have you discovered then that the beginning, that you look for the end? For where the beginning is, there will the end be. We need to get back to that starting point. Blessed is he who will take his place in the beginning. He will know the end and not experience death. Return to state of non-grasping. That's mental. And grasping means things that we don't want to deal with, not the stuff we do. Okay. Let's see here. The video. We're getting into an hour here. Okay. There was a lot of setup as usual. It's like as you get into these and you're doing something, you want to kind of describe to people what you're doing so that they're not approaching it like, what, I've not seen this before. Yeah, I'm showing what that doesn't really occur to people. I'm kind of fitting into that part of the material. And that's just what happens. It seems like historically that's kind of what comes about. We just have an internet now so we can get together and talk, which is fine because my neighbors would tell me they would pray for my soul. So you poor bastard. Yeah, okay. So we're looking for something different here. We got to reach out and find each other. How does this sound? Let's go ahead and, you know what? I'm going to just read through from start to finish. What does it sound like to have all of this together? Let me combine it. Okay, what I want to say right here is my own feelings are that this is incredibly rough. It's not very well done at all at this point. It's just kind of a rough start, but I've combined them all together and the interpretations that we've done so far. And let's just see, I'm going to read them all together and see what they sound like. They're not complete. There's still things that are analogous in here. I've still left in terms like, garden and things like that in here. Sometimes it's hard to leave metaphors behind. They are so incredibly rich. All right, here's what we came up with. Anyone who unlocks these verses will feel free. Keep looking. It's in there. When you learn what to do, it won't feel good to face, but once done, you will realize it's up to you, and you will master your life. It's only understandable as a personal mental journey, one which affects our very quality of life. When you face and embrace what you carry, turning to the memories, you will realize the higher self is what is used to help face and heal them. If you do not face your memories, you will continue to live through them. Return to a mental state prior to judging your experiences. Seek unity between your inner self and your conscious experience when you aren't paying attention. When you're on autopilot, how is life? Self-observe. What emerges from you comes from within you. That's the way it works for all of us. From your memories and perceptions. Self-observe. Look what comes out of us. It comes from a seed. In mental quietude, your memories can emerge, and if you seek a better life, it will leave you feeling desire and angst, thus making it worse. Time goes by, and what we fester over grows as we fester over it. Desiring without healing makes you suffer even greater. What you eat in the physical world isn't crucial. What we need to do is to observe what emerges from us. Unresolved, unaware, triggering is what hurts us. That's what defiles us. Live with open honesty while feeling good. As within, so without. Our life will unfold based on our emotional state. The judged life experiences man takes on win out and control our life. We are cursed when those experiences consume us and come to fruition. Our inner self becomes our outer self. Get rid of all the little things we cling to, picked up along life's way, and seek happiness. I shouldn't say little things. Get rid of all the things. Everything. You raped repeatedly? That's not a little thing, but it's a hurt that has to be resolved. Life experiences give us many things from our garden. Seek to weed it, and have only plants you wish. There's where I left it pretty analogous, huh? Do we get that one? Life experiences give us many things from what comes in our life experiences, our mind. Seek to weed it, seek to get rid of, to sort out, which means to make friends with the things that hurt us. The unaware are not aware, and the aware can't unsee it. When we lived unaware and judged life, we ourselves brought that to life by judging and storing it in the brain. Once we know that, then what should we do? We were combined as one, naked, unashamed prior to first sin. Then we lived life and became two. Now my memories of hurt are not in unison with my conscious wishes. I have become two. Now what will I do? Righteousness is what we seek. Righteousness is that pure point where we are not connected with things, disconnected from what we have stored in memory, naked, unashamed. That's from the analog farm in Genesis. Teaching to the believers of the religion will make them angry at you, but in the end the truth will eat them up. When you see the facet of your mind which is not a product of stored memories, go there. That's the higher self. This isn't about saving the planet, but I have come to destroy the inner world of any follower. We are existing with inner conflict, and it is that we need to destroy. What is this? Self-psychology guiding us to let go of our hurt experiences, using philosophy to interpret the secret verses and applying them in our own psyche. Then return to a state of mentally non-grasping. Okay, how does that sound when you put it all together? Sounds like we're on a path here. I'll get the same thing out of Buddhism or Taoism, interpreting in that manner right there. You have to do it that way. I'll go ahead and end this. It went long with the setup and all that, like I said, so I'll just go ahead and finish this and I guess I probably should keep going on this, huh? It should be fun. I'll just jump into the next one, though, without any setup and start right into whatever the next one is. All right. Hope it was enjoyable. Please feel free to leave comments and feedback below. I'll see you in the next video.